Hi, we're Christy and Zach, the co-founders of Sealight Technologies. I've spent the last 5 years of my PhD in the Vision Science program at UC Berkeley, designing, building, and optimizing a top-tier eye tracking system. My co-founder, Zach, is also a PhD candidate in the Vision Science program with a neuroscience background. Finally, my advisor, Austin Rorda, supports this venture and will sit on the board of directors as our scientific advisor. Sealight's mission is to transition our successful research-grade eye tracking system into a commercialized product to aid in the early diagnosis of neurological disorders, such as Alzheimer's disease.
Right now, there are 35.6 million people suffering from Alzheimer's, but this number is projected to increase to over 100 million by 2050. And the sad truth is, in terms of diagnostics, the field of neurology is decades behind other areas of medicine. There are mammograms to diagnose breast cancer at early stages. There are blood tests for infectious disease. Blood pressure is a quick readout of cardiovascular health. But there are no quick, non-invasive diagnostics for neurological disorders except a very expensive MRI brain scan or an extremely invasive spinal tap. There are currently multiple clinical trials involving drugs to slow or stop the progression of this disease, and we need to make sure that our diagnostics advance as well. 1/3 of the initial complaints from patients suffering from neurological disorders are visually related. In fact, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and even traumatic brain injuries all exhibit abnormal eye movements. You see, eye movements are the result of the coordination of many parts of the brain. This means that if any part stops working the way that it should, eye movements will be directly impacted. However, the only eye movements clinicians are able to see now are quite large, because they are primarily observed with a flashlight and the naked eye. This makes any small changes completely invisible to clinicians. We at Sealight Technologies are working to fill in the diagnostic tool gap through the use of our precision eye tracker.
Here you can see our research-grade technology, of which there are currently 11 worldwide in academic institutions. It has an accuracy 150 times better than current video-based eye trackers and is completely non-invasive. We call it the TSLO, which stands for the Tracking Scanning Laser Ophthalmoscope. It integrates both hardware and software. Basically, the system scans light over the very back of the eye and records the retinal landscape, such as blood vessels and cells, as you can see in the image on the right. Software is then used to track eye movement almost 1,000 times per second.
We're going to start marketing the TSLO to those clinicians who specialize in the treatment and care of Alzheimer's patients and their symptoms, neurologists and ophthalmologists. This scenario is very similar to that followed during the introduction of the mammogram. Initially, mammograms were only available to oncologists, but now almost 39 million screenings are performed each year. Our research shows that comparable technologies are shared between an average of 3 clinicians. Using a price point of $75,000, this outlines a $2.6 billion market. However, we hope that one day the TSLO could be found in every primary care office to be used during yearly physicals. Taking into account the larger number of primary care physicians and an increase in the number of clinicians per instrument, this outlines a $15.7 billion market.
The ideal qualities of a diagnostic tool are threefold: to be cost-effective, non-invasive, and objective. Our competitors force you to choose only 2 of the 3 ideal requirements. An MRI is both objective and non-invasive, but it's extremely expensive. A spinal tap, while objective and cost-effective, is extremely invasive. And finally, memory assessment surveys and behavioral tests, like those employed by NeuroTrack, are cost-effective and non-invasive, but rely on subjective patient responses. With Sealight Technologies, you can have all 3. As you can see, our current research domain product is completed, tested, and ready for sale today. In order to maintain ownership of our IP, we will require external funding to build our own system. Using this system, we will then collect a normative database and initiate patient imaging for the validation of eye tracking as a viable neurodiagnostic. With this pilot data, we will then begin the process of achieving regulatory approval. Our plan from research prototype to diagnostic tool runs from 2014 through 2017. C-Light technologies could have an amazing impact upon the way that doctors diagnose, treat, and even view neurological disorders. With your help and our expertise, we could make this generation the last one that experiences late-stage Alzheimer's disease. We are currently in search of early-stage funding, software engineers, and ophthalmologists and neurologists to build our clinician and patient network. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us via Twitter or email. Thank you.